Hey, Nick.
Hello, Warwick.
Hello, listeners.
It's almost Christmas.
Holy macanoli. Am I
Um,
tired?
yes, I don't think that's got anything to do with Christmas, though.
Oh, no. Maybe having a baby in the house at
Perhaps
50 years of age.
might have a small bit to do with it.
A little. Hey, Nick, have you got a joke for us today?
I do. What do you call an obnoxious reindeer?
Nope.
Rude. Off.
Boom tish.
I think I failed on my desire to make you really roll around laughing before the end of the year. So there you go. That was. I thought it was great, and I am. You need to pop on over to YouTube and check out the video because I have one hell of a set of ears.
Yes, but there's this thing on your head. I'm not sure what that's meant to be, actually. It looks like a growth.
Some sort of hat.
It's a Christmas tumor.
It is. It is very much. Well, it is Christmas, and in the spirit of the season, all things crass and I don't know, gaudy come out of the cupboard, including my
Yes.
ears and
Mine's
hat.
still packed away in the shed.
It's the 19th of December.
Yes, I'm leaving it there until the absolute last minute. And we have a 2.5-month-old baby in the house. So there hasn't been much time for me to go and dust off the decorations.
Imagine what it's going to be like next year. You're going to have to put a big cage around the tree so that your then toddler, who will no doubt be walking or at least edging along the fence, will be wanting to touch everything on the tree.
He'll be using it to pull himself up,
Yes.
but instead pull the tree down
Off it'll go,
like the cat videos.
like my cats.
So, Nick, what a year, hey? 2023, the another one of those years where everybody got to the end of 22 and breathed out and went, "Oh, surely next year it'll be better." And at least in Australia, we've seen interest rate rise after interest rate rise. We've seen more hassles with the construction industry. We've seen, what else have we seen, Nick?
A lot of cost of living pressure. There's a lot of pressure out there. With the cost of living, everything seems to be on the increase. They keep telling us that food and meat's coming down, and then another storm comes and it all goes back up again. I'm not going to get on my soapbox with my skeptic hat on today, even though it looks like I should have a skeptic hat on. There's just a lot out there. There's some big energy. I feel like this year has been the hangover year. It's like we've finally moved past some of the challenges, and the hangover has brought on a whole bunch of other challenges. A bit like when you wake up pretty dusty after your Christmas party.
Yeah, and a bit like waking up after the night before and having that deep feeling of regret.
Oh, yeah.
And you start thinking about, oh, how many did I have? Or maybe you ate too much, or maybe you just, you're not a drinker and you accidentally got into a really long conversation with somebody that you wish you hadn't, and perhaps overshared some stuff because it was the season to be jolly and everything. I think a lot of businesses could be getting to this stage of the year with a bit of that feeling about maybe they didn't do enough marketing in 2022 and they found themselves a bit short of work in 23, which was a big problem this year for a lot of trade businesses. Maybe you didn't put enough work into your team. And as we've talked about in previous episodes, for our tradiepreneurs, actually, are about the great resignation that happens around this time every year. Maybe you haven't invested enough in your team. Either way, I think it's common to feel a bit of remorse and regret as we come into the silly season proper and the imminent shutdown for many of you as you listen to this. Some of you will work through. Some of you have call-out businesses and everything that make some good hay during this period of sunshine. But that feeling of regret is actually avoidable. And that's probably what I want to encourage you to do as you roll into Christmas is think about what it would take to not repeat the same patterns year after year that perhaps you're seeing in your own life and your business.
I think a little healthy dose of regret's a good thing because we can become very complacent in our businesses and our lives. And if we don't, I think the key here is the reflection piece. And if we're not getting to this end of the year and reflecting over oh, what could I do different? What could I improve on? What could I build on for next year? Then we will stay quite stagnant to where we are. And when what is it that if we're not growing, we're dying, I think is the
Apparently.
statement. There's a whole big story that goes with that I'm not probably qualified to take you through. But they do say that if you're not, and I don't mean necessarily that your business needs to grow and you need to put on another 2 people next year. What I mean is personal and business development. If you're not constantly looking and reflecting over your business and figuring out ways to do better, to serve better, improve the customer experience, improve your team experience, improve your experience as the business owner, unfortunately, that complacency that often seeps into business can create the downward slide. So one of those things that you're talking about that we saw really strongly at the beginning of this year was the complacency around how much work everybody had at the back end of 2022. They ran into Christmas, they were exhausted, they had far too much work. So not everybody, a lot of people had taken their eye off the ball when it came to marketing. And we came through and we sort of hit February, March. We saw a lot of businesses really reach a place of struggle that meant that they weren't able to achieve the goals that they just assumed that they would. And that's one of those problems with complacency. We let go of some of the things that we shouldn't be letting go of. So a little bit of regret every year, I think, is not a bad thing, because it can be quite, providing you use it as a motivation, I guess, is the real key here. Providing you use it as a motivation for you to make improvements and find some growth on the following year.
I'm writing notes as you speak, Nicole, as
Hey.
who do actually watch the YouTube episodes. I think there might be 3 people. If you don't know, we have a YouTube channel. Actually.
We
Just
do.
going to take a quick break to let you know about our YouTube channel. Head on over to YouTube. Anyway, don't know why I always do an bad American accent when we do that. I think because so many promos seem to be done in that accent, and the USA seems to be the land of big promos.
Anywho, just
Anywho,
loud.
yes. So we do have a YouTube channel, so you can see me pointing my pen at the screen right now. If you go and check it out, and lecturing who I don't know, because I don't lecture Nicole, but I was taking notes, Nick, and I was thinking, if I was summarizing what you were talking about, there's some big points in there, and there's some really meaty stuff for any of you listening to this if you want to really make change. And I know we talk about this so much, Nick. We've been running for over 9 years now here at Tradies in Business podcast. We've got over 600 episodes. Holy moly. And many hundreds of thousands of downloads. And we have probably repeated the same dozen messages or so about 50 times, because business and results and getting what you want out of your life generally comes back to the same core things. And I was scratching my notes down here to write the blurb, because I do write the blurbs for all of our podcasts still. If you would like me to stop doing that, listeners, just send your messages to Nicole at something or other. But I've written regret, complacency, discomfort, motivation, words that probably don't feel like they go together, and yet they form part of that wholeness of getting what you want out of life. I can't really put it down to anything different to that. I mean, that looks different for all of us. And I'm probably feeling a bit reflective and philosophical, Nick, and I haven't even drunk any eggnog yet as we record this, which is a good idea. But I think a lot of people, actually, I know a lot of people, because we talk to a lot of people in business, they're chasing the fairy tale. They're chasing the Christmas fairy tale. And we have this image, I'm seeing all of the photos on Instagram and the reels and stuff for people with their Christmas stuff and these perfect Christmas settings and the tree and everything's beautiful. And that all looks lovely. But Christmas is not like that for 99% of people. Christmas involves family feuds and, your kid throwing up in the middle of Christmas lunch and, the cat, I don't know, crapping on your presents or something. Like, it's just, Christmas is a mess and it's beautiful. Like, that's all part of Christmas for most people, just like business is not this wonderful, easy, smooth, consistent, stress-free, profitable fairy tale ever for anybody. If anybody tells you that that's reality, then they're pulling your leg really hard, because no matter what sort of business you have, whether you're some Instagram gazillionaire driving around in your Ferrari, or Bob the Builder who's just slaving it out on site, business involves all of these things: discomfort, comfort, joy, stress. Like, it's all part of it. It's just about shifting what version of reality you're going to create for yourself.
I don't think I could have said it any better myself, so I'm not going to even try and continue that thread of the conversation. What I would like to do is, we're about to go on a break. We're going to have a couple of weeks off from the podcast so that you can rest your ears, but we've had an idea on an actionable step for you. Perhaps it's the media I've been consuming of late, and I've seen a lot of people on social media, I was going to label, but I won't. Lots of people on social media talking about living a life by design. And I've really scratched my head over that, and it doesn't always sit well for me. I can see the concept and I understand what they're talking about. And I've actually been sitting here listening to you, Warwick, and thinking, our listeners have the opportunity. We're going to be working through an entire day workshop with our clients in January to help them figure out what their life by design looks like when we have our life planning day and our wealth creation day. And I'd like to encourage you as listeners to do a simple little exercise over the break while we're off for a couple of weeks, and figure out what it is that you would like your life to look like in 2024. So when you get to this reflection point of 2024, you can look back and think, you know what, I did take that family holiday, and I did manage to get the business to a point where I was able to not work after hours. And I did reduce my stress, and I've gotten through the end of the year, and my team are very happy and committed, and we're all working towards the same goals. Whatever it looks like for you, I would love you to make some notes about what your life by design could look like for 2024, so that you have the opportunity to begin to create that change next year. As always, we will be putting on lots of free stuff for you to come and join us so that we can assist you with creating some of that change. We've had some awesome ideas over the last couple of weeks on ways we can collaborate with you, the listeners, and our broader audience to help you make some of that change so you're not getting stuck and stagnant like we were speaking about earlier. So please keep listening in and make sure that you join us when we come back in early 2024. For now, though, I think the one big thing for you to do is go off and really have a think about what you want next year to look like, rather than just rolling into it like so many of us do. I think COVID really taught us a lot about reflection and taking the time to think about what our future could look like, instead of being stuck in the here and now and the busyness that tends to swamp us at this time of year. And then I'd probably really like to finish up by saying thank you. Thank you, listeners, for being here. Thank you, Warwick, for being a fantastic co-host and for doing all of the back-end stuff that it takes to run this podcast and ensure that it shows up in your feed most weeks, particularly after such a big year for you this year. And somehow we are back here again. Thank you very much for listening. It's because you listen and because we still see that you are downloading our podcast that we show up every week and record another episode. We've got some amazing, exciting changes coming to the podcast next year, including an intro that we had to re-record, I think 5 times this morning before we got it to something we're comfortable with. But there's a whole bunch of changes, including the frequency is getting a little shake up next year. So please keep your ears ready, poised, and the finger on the button on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, so that we can join you again next year.
Everything Nic said.
Perfect.
And have a wonderful holiday season, whatever that looks like for you. Stay safe. Take a break if you can. And we look forward to bringing you more value and bringing more of Nic and myself to you across all of our channels in 2024. You're going to have a chance to get closer to us next year. So I'm excited and very nervous about that.
I think our listeners just got very nervous as well.
Have a wonderful Christmas. Thanks for listening.
Hooray.